Welcome to another deep dive. Our mission for this session is to dissect this really massive structural shift that's happening right now in digital visibility. And we are basing this entirely on the newly released SEO Daily Technology Report that just came out on August 21, 2026. So if you've been feeling like the ground is sort of shifting beneath your digital marketing strategy lately, you aren't crazy.
No, none of that.
We're going to break down the move from traditional SEO to GEO, which is generative engine optimization. We have the data on how AI has basically broken traditional search metrics, the new strategies required to be seen, the technical standards being adopted, and the 2026 software tool stack driving all of it.
Yeah, and the landscape detailed in this August 21, 2026 report, I mean, it really represents a total paradigm shift. It's the rules of visibility that held true for, 2 decades. They're actively breaking down right in front of us.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because for the last 20 years, the internet basically ran on a single unspoken contract, right? We type a question into a box, a search engine gives us a list of 10 blue links, and we click the one that looks the most helpful.
Right.
It was predictable, like engineering almost. You build the site, you optimize the keywords, you climb the ranks, and boom, you get the click. But reading through this report, that contract has been completely shredded.
Yeah, torn to pieces.
So to understand the wild new strategies and the tool stacks we're going to cover, we really have to start with the crisis itself. I mean, the industry is in a state of sheer panic over the death of the click.
And honestly, the panic is justified when you actually look at the raw data in this report. The metrics that have defined digital success for everyone are just collapsing. The report highlights this research from ASR where they analyzed, I think it was 300,000 keywords.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, a massive data set. And they found that when AI overviews appear on a search result page, the click-through rate, the CTR, for the top ranking page drops from 7.3% down to 1.6%.
Wait, let's just pause and let that settle for a second.
Yeah.
A 58% drop in CTR.
It's staggering.
That is not a seasonal dip. That's not a minor algorithm tweak where you just, adjust your title tags. If you are a publisher or an e-commerce brand that relies on organic traffic, half of your digital real estate just evaporated.
Overnight, yeah. It is a devastating loss of traditional web traffic.
Yeah.
But if we look at user psychology, the human element of this, it makes perfect sense. The AI is summarizing the answer right there at the top of the page.
Right.
So the user gets exactly what they need immediately. They don't want a research project.
Right. They just want the answer.
Exactly. They want an answer. So they never actually click through to the source website anymore. The whole journey just ends right there on the search page itself.
I was trying to think of how to visualize this shift in behavior, and it's like we spent 2 decades learning to write the perfect highway billboard to get people to pull over to our roadside diner, But now, as of 2026, people are just having private conversations with an AI assistant sitting in the passenger seat.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And that assistant just tells them where to go, and they never even look out the window at our billboard.
That is a great way to look at it. The user's attention is entirely captured by the passenger seat AI. So the billboard is completely irrelevant if the navigator isn't even looking at it. And the data in the report backs up just how conversational this navigation has really become. It notes that 65 to 85% of ChatGPT prompts have absolutely no matching keyword in traditional search databases.
Wait, 65 to 85%?
Up to 85%, yeah.
But if up to 85% of prompts don't match our databases, doesn't that mean we are just flying completely blind? Is traditional keyword research just completely dead if the engine doesn't even recognize the terms we're optimizing for?
Well, keyword research isn't entirely dead, but relying on it exclusively. Yeah, that is a guaranteed path to obsolescence right now. The mechanism of search has fundamentally changed.
Oh.
People aren't typing rigid fragments like, best running shoes 2026 anymore.
Right.
They're typing full paragraphs like, I have high arches, I'm training for a marathon in a rainy climate, and I need a shoe under $150 that won't give me blisters. What should I buy?
Yeah, the prompts are just so long now.
Exactly. And traditional SEO tools, they rely on search volume for specific short strings of text. They were just never designed to capture those deeply contextual, long-form conversational requests.
So, okay, if you can't track the keyword, right, and you can't track the click because it's down 58%.
Right.
How on earth do you measure success? What is the KPI for a digital marketing team in 2026?
You have to measure the model itself. So
Okay.
the metric that is rapidly replacing traditional share of voice is called share of model, or SOM.
Share of model.
Yeah, Jack Smith and Tom Roach actually coined the term. and it is quickly becoming the definitive KPI for the industry. It basically measures how often a brand appears in AI-generated answers compared to its competitors, and it does this across thousands of contextual prompt variations.
Ah, okay. So it's basically market share, but specifically inside the AI's brain.
Exactly. And the crucial distinction here, and this is what's really shaking up the industry, is that unlike paid share of voice in the old search engines, share of model is 100% earned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you cannot buy a sponsored placement inside a native ChatGPT or Claude recommendation. It is purely based on the model's assessment of your brand's actual authority.
Meaning if you aren't in the model's answer, you essentially do not exist to the user. Like that passenger seat AI just doesn't know your diner is there.
Right.
And no amount of advertising money can force it to recommend you.
Which is exactly why we are seeing a whole new category of software stepping up to solve this measurement gap. Tools like Trackings.ai, SE Rankings AI Overview Tracker, and ChatFeatured. They're running thousands of zero-shot and few-shot prompts in the background just to calculate this new SOM metric.
Oh, so they're basically simulating the users.
Exactly. They map out exactly where you stand in the AI's recommendations so you actually have a baseline.
Okay, so if the click is dying and share of model is the new king, how do brands actually ensure they get recommended? Because that brings us to GEO, right? Generative Engine Optimization. The report details this as the definitive new playbook for 2026.
Yeah, GEO has officially moved from like an experimental concept to an absolute essential practice because the focus is no longer just Google. The playing field is distributed now. Optimization now means ensuring visibility inside ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude, all simultaneously.
Here's where it gets really interesting. McKinsey reports that as of this report's publication on August 21st, 2026, only 16% of brands systematically track their AI search performance.
Yeah, 16%.
Just 16. If you are listening to this deep dive and you run a brand, 84% of your competitors are completely asleep at the wheel. The first mover advantage for adopting GEO right now is just astronomical.
It's massive.
Yeah.
But that window for the advantage, it won't stay open long. To actually capture it, listeners have to internalize the most jarring statistic in this entire report, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Approximately 85% of brand mentions in AI search originate from third-party sources, not the brand's own website.
85% from outside the house.
Yes.
That completely flips traditional SEO on its head. I mean, we used to spend all our time obsessing over our own domains, right? Tweaking title tags, rewriting our own blog posts for the 5th time, speeding up our own servers.
And that internal obsession is exactly why so many brands are losing their share of model today. The report classifies GEO as 80% strategic and only 20% technical.
Yep.
That 85% third-party statistic, it dictates that you can no longer just optimize your own domain and expect to win. The AI models utilize a process akin to RAG, retrieval augmented generation.
Right.
So when a user asks a question, the AI doesn't just go read your website. It scours the broader internet to see what everyone else is saying about your website.
So it's essentially looking for consensus to avoid hallucinating a bad recommendation, right? Like if I have a running shoe brand and I say on my website we make the best marathon shoes, the AI treats that as a highly biased claim. It's like, of course you'd say that.
Right, exactly.
But if a dozen authoritative running blogs and some Reddit threads and digital magazines all say my shoe is the best, the AI sees that consensus and then recommends it to the user.
That is the exact mechanism at play. Brand authority across the wider internet ecosystem is now the primary driver of visibility. If we connect this to the bigger picture, GEO is largely a public relations and thought leadership function now. It's ecosystem management. You have to ensure that when an AI model scrapes industry forums or news outlets, the overwhelming consensus out there points back to your brand.
All right, so that clarifies the 80% strategic side of GEO, building that external ecosystem authority. But I want to dig into that remaining 20% technical side, because we aren't just crossing our fingers and hoping the AI crawls these external sites and our site properly. How are websites structurally inviting AI crawlers in, specifically as of this August 2026 report?
This is where the new technical protocols come into play, and it's super important. The most significant development is the widespread adoption of the LMS.txt file.
Okay, I love this concept. Let me try an analogy here.
Go for it.
In the old days, we relied heavily on robots.txt. Right. That was basically the no trespassing sign on the edge of your property. It was super defensive, telling crawlers what they were absolutely not allowed to look at. But LMS.txt operates completely differently. It is like handing a visiting scholar a meticulously curated visitor's guide and map the very moment they step onto your property, pointing them directly to the archives you want them to study.
That analogy captures the intent perfectly. Yeah,
Wow.
LMS.txt is explicitly invitational because large language models, they don't want to parse through your heavy CSS files or your JavaScript animations or your annoying promotional pop-ups.
Right, they just want the data.
Exactly. The LMS.txt file provides clean, markdown formatted links that are grouped by topical relevance. It basically strips away all the noise and guides the model directly to your highest value priority content for training and citation.
And according to the August 21st, 2026 data in the report, this standard has been adopted by 5 to 15% of major websites already.
Yeah, it's growing fast.
And the brands doing this early are seeing measurable lifts in AI referral traffic because platforms like Perplexity preferentially cite content that surfaces information this cleanly, right?
They cite it because it drastically reduces their compute cost and their error rate. AI does not read a paragraph of text the way a human does. It processes data structurally. It's mapping relationships between concepts.
Right.
And that is exactly why we are also seeing a massive resurgence in structured data and entity SEO.
Oh, schema markup.
Yeah.
We used to implement that years ago just to get those little star ratings or recipe times to show up next to our search results.
Right, exactly.
It was almost entirely a cosmetic play to make your link look pretty on the SERP.
Yeah, but now the motivation is entirely shifted from cosmetic to structural. AI systems rely heavily on clear entity definitions. Think of how a large language model builds a knowledge graph. It needs to extract facts, right? Nodes and edges. It needs to know definitively that a specific string of text represents a person or a place, an organization, or a product.
So when we use things like FAQ page schema, how-to schema, and product schema today, we are effectively translating our content into the AI's native syntax, and we are just taking all the ambiguity out of it.
Precisely, and especially with FAQ schema. I mean, it is highly extractable by AI assistants that are literally in the business of formulating direct answers.
Oh, that makes sense.
By combining robust entity SEO with a clean LMS.txt file, you are essentially pre-processing the raw materials for the AI. You make the data undeniable, structured, and incredibly easy to cite.
Which perfectly aligns with what Google stated in their 2026 documentation. I mean, they explicitly said that, quote, optimizing for generative AI search is optimizing for the search experience and thus still SEO. So it's still search. The engine just has a different brain now.
Exactly.
We've shifted from feeding it exact match keywords to feeding it defined entities.
The goal of visibility remains completely unchanged.
Yeah.
But the language of communication has evolved from, just backlinks and keyword density to ecosystem consensus and structured data extraction.
Okay, so we've established the new metric share of model. We understand the strategy GEO and building external consensus. We have the technical protocols down-llms.txt and entity SEO. Now let's actually get to the execution. Looking at the 2026 tool stack detailed in this report, the software evolution is just staggering.
It really is.
But it doesn't look like a single unified approach. There seems to be a real philosophical divide in how these platforms are being built right now.
You're spot on. That philosophical divide is really the defining characteristic of the 2026 software arms race. The market has basically splintered into two distinct camps.
Okay.
On one side, you have heavy data intelligence platforms, and on the other side, you have execution and automation platforms.
Let's start with the data intelligence side. The report highlights Semrush One as the market leader in this camp. At $129 a month, they are pitching it as the definitive all-in-one hub.
Yeah, Semrush One represents the intelligence philosophy. They built this generative AI co-pilot that interprets really complex data sets and suggests strategies. But the killer feature, the one everyone is talking about, is their dual tracking dashboard.
Right.
It monitors traditional search metrics right alongside your AI visibility across ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google AI modes simultaneously.
And that dual tracking is so crucial because we are in a transitional period, right?
Yeah.
Even with a 58% CTR drop on AI overview keywords, brands are still extracting a lot of revenue from traditional search.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't just abandon the old world while you're trying to navigate the new one.
Exactly. You need both. And you see a similar intelligence-first approach with Ahrefs, too. They are still charging $99 a month, but they're relying on their incredibly deep, raw data. I mean, their backlink index updates every 15 to 30 minutes now.
Yeah, I noticed the report mentioned Ahrefs is using new AI-assisted insights to detect velocity anomalies.
Right.
How does that actually work in practice?
It's a fascinating application of AI, honestly. In the past, if a site suddenly gained thousands of links overnight, a human had to manually investigate if it was like a viral PR win or a toxic spam attack designed to tank their rankings.
Yeah, which took forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the AI instantly analyzes the contextual footprint of all those links. It understands the semantic relationship of the referring domains, and it automatically flags toxic anomalies before they can damage a brand's share of model.
Wow.
So it's deep, highly protective data intelligence.
Contrast that with the other side of the philosophical divide, automation. The tools that don't just show you the data, but actually do the work for you.
Right.
The report heavily features Frase, which is acting as a full-stack AI SEO agent covering the entire content pipeline, like research, strategy, write, audit, monitor, and fix. And they highlight their use of an MCP, a model context protocol. Wait, how is an MCP actually different from the standard APIs we've been using to connect software for the last decade?
It is a fundamental leap forward. Traditional APIs are very rigid. You send a specific request to a predefined endpoint, and you get a specific data packet back.
Right, it's transactional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A Model Context Protocol, or MCP, allows fluid context sharing. It allows an AI assistant running in an environment like Claude or Cursor to actively inhabit the Frase platform.
So it's not just pinging a database, it maintains the entire context of the project.
Yes. The AI can pull the real-time search data, it can generate the brief, write the content, run an audit against dual SEO and GEO scoring metrics, and then directly execute the publishing command to your CMS.
That's insane.
And it does all of that without losing the context of the overarching brand strategy. It operates dynamically within the software ecosystem.
And we see that same extreme automation with ChatFeatured, which is another tool mentioned in the report. It tracks your share of model, but then it takes the next step and actively executes its own content fixes on your site to improve that visibility.
Yeah, it just does it.
Which leads me to a really big question. With Frase publishing directly via MCP and ChatFeatured rewriting our code autonomously, what exactly is the human digital marketer doing in August of 2026? Are we just orchestrators now, just pushing buttons and watching AI optimize for AI?
It's a fair question. The role of the human has shifted entirely to the 80% strategic side of GEO that we discussed earlier. The tools are phenomenal at executing the 20% technical labor.
Okay.
Frase can write and publish structurally perfect content. ChatFeatured can ensure your entities are perfectly defined, but the AI cannot invent a unique brand point of view.
Right. It can't go out into the real world and forge the actual human relationships that result in those critical third-party mentions on industry blogs.
Exactly. The human is responsible for original thought leadership, for ecosystem positioning, and for actually driving the off-site PR that feeds the models.
Yep.
Even highly automated platforms like Surfer SEO, which is $89 a month, and maps entire site audits against current SRP landscapes using NLP, they still require human direction. The tools surface the intelligence and they execute the technical labor, but the human must define the strategy and steer the ship.
Which brings us full circle. So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at the state of the industry as of August 21st, 2026, the transformation is just absolute. The traditional click is dying as conversational AI intercepts the user journey. Share of model is the only metric that truly captures brand visibility in this new era. We are structurally rolling out the red carpet for crawlers using elms.txt files and highly structured entity data. And our tool stack is completely divided between platforms providing deep ecosystem intelligence and autonomous agents handling the technical execution.
It is a remarkable, totally unprecedented evolution in how information is indexed and retrieved. But considering everything in this report, I do want to leave listeners with a final, somewhat unsettling thought.
Oh boy, lay it on us.
So we established earlier that 85% of AI citations originate from third-party sources, right?
Right.
The AI is looking for consensus outside of your domain. That means your brand AI's digital reputation, your share of model, and ultimately your revenue are now almost entirely at the mercy of what others say about you online.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Think about it. In the old SEO paradigm, if there was a factual error on your product page, you logged into your CMS and you fixed the code. Problem solved.
Right. You controlled it.
But if an AI model hallucinates a negative fact about your company today, based on a random angry third-party review on some forum from 3 years ago, You can't just fix the code on your website to solve it.
Because the AI isn't prioritizing your website, it's prioritizing the ecosystem's consensus.
Exactly. How do you control a narrative when you no longer own the source material the engine is reading? It requires a level of proactive brand defense, crisis management, and ecosystem monitoring that most traditional digital teams have just never had to practice before.
That is the defining challenge of 2026. I mean, we used to just paint a beautiful highway billboard and hope people drove by.
Mhm.
Now we have to somehow convince the passenger seat AI that we are the best destination, even if 100 other people on the highway are shouting entirely different directions.
This is definitely a wild time.
It's an intimidating new frontier, but an incredibly exciting one. If you're building a brand, you have to master this ecosystem. Thank you for diving deep with us today to understand it. Keep optimizing, keep tracking your share of model, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.